Okay, everyone, this is it. Welcome to episode 1 of the Victorian Servitude Challenge. I'm so excited for this. I've been wanting to do something like this for so long. Like, honestly, when I started my simming YouTube channel, this is like something that I had in mind as something that I definitely had to do. Like, I definitely knew that I wanted to do one 100 baby challenge, but like, this is something that I was really looking forward to sharing because there's not very many things like this out there. I mean, there's a ton of 100 baby challenges out there, all done very well, I might add, but there's nothing like this out there, and that's why I couldn't wait to get it out there because I love playing in time periods. Like, this is what I do. Like, before I had my YouTube channel for simming, I pretty much would just, like, for fun, play families in, Victorian clothing and Victorian houses. Like, all of mine had that Victorian theme to it. So I couldn't wait to share that style of playing with an audience, and I really hope you guys respond to it as well as I hope you will. So a basic overview of this challenge. This here is our troop of servants, the hired help in this house, and the year is around like 1850 in Victorian England, and these 5 Sims are under the employment of the Clark household, which is right now just a married couple, and they each have their own specific job that they contribute to running this household and the house itself functionally. Um, Back then they had a nanny, a governess, a housemaid, a gardener, a groundskeeper, a chambermaid, a cook. Like, they had all of this different stuff, and I'm trying to incorporate that feel with this challenge, and we will mainly be playing as these 5 Sims right here, and focusing on 2 of them as the main storyline. And so we're not really allowed to click on the family of the house themselves. We're really supposed to leave free will on high and let them do whatever they want, and then just control these 5. But of course, it's going to be necessary sometimes to click on them. But as of right now, we're going to try our best to not click on the family and just click on the servants. And so let's get to the introduction of the individual Sims and their duties of the house. This young woman over here is named Anna Fitzgerald, and she is the lady's maid for the lady of the house. And the job of the lady's maid in that time was to basically just be a companion to the lady of the house. They were just there to help with menial tasks, like helping the lady get dressed and doing her hair and her makeup. And there are some sources that say that the lady's maid also helped cleaning up the bedroom, but we're going to save that for the housemaid. In this challenge, her job is basically, like I wrote in the rules, responsible for helping the lady of the house with menial tasks and being friends with her. And she must become best friends with the lady of the house as soon as possible. So her day consists of keeping the lady of the house entertained and taking care of her own needs when necessary. Her only requirement for traits is to have the friendly trait, which she has, and I also gave her a good sense of humor because she would, need a good sense of humor to keep the lady of the house entertained. Neat, because she is supposed to help with menial tasks. Whether or not she actually does that, we'll see. Bookworm, just cuz, and easily impressed. So yeah, the story for Anna, I'm a very story-driven simmer, so here we go. Anna Fitzgerald is Emily's lady's maid. Emily is the lady of the house. She grew up in Emily's childhood home, being the daughter of servants in Emily's household. As children, Anna and Emily played together, and being that they were so close, Emily chose her to be her lady's maid and brought her to her husband's house to live with her in her new life. So nothing really dramatic for Anna. She was born into the life of servitude, but her status has now increased because Emily has chosen her to be the lady's maid, because generally speaking, the lady's maids had a higher status than the rest of the maids. Not that she was like above the payroll or like on the top of the hierarchy, because ladies' maids were not. They were the same, like on the same level of hierarchy, I guess you could say, but she was just in the social aspect a higher, because I mean, when you think about it, it makes sense that she would have a higher social standing than, you know, the chambermaid, because they're doing the cleaning and she's, you know, being a companion and doing hair and makeup and stuff. So yeah, that's Anna's story, and moving on to the next one. All right, so this here is Camilla Blair. She is 43, so that makes her an adult, and she is the cook. And the only trait requirement for cooks in the challenge rules is obviously the natural cook trait. Um, and she is, as you would guess, responsible for cooking all meals that the family eats, including making baby food, which I know that the blenders that they make the baby food in The Sims are not exactly period appropriate, but I think it gives them more to do because in The Sims, cooking is not the most taxing job. It doesn't take that long, which is, again, not historically accurate because back then, cooking 3 meals really did take them all day. But I'm just trying to come up with things for her to do. So making baby food is one of them. She must make all birthday cakes and wedding cakes with the baking set from the store. She must cook extra food with multiple courses if the family is having company for like a party or something. And she must cook every craving that the lady of the house has when she's pregnant. So, you know how you get those moodlets, not moodlets, so the wishes when you're pregnant, like, oh, I want to eat cookies, I want to eat key lime pie. That is the cook's job to satisfy that wish, no matter how absurd it may be. So during her free time, she has to read all of the recipe books, and she has to learn all of the recipes so that she can satisfy the lady of the house when she has her, you know, pregnancy cravings. Now you'll notice that in addition to natural cook, Camilla has the neurotic and grumpy and over-emotional and perfectionist trait. I gave her perfectionist because I feel like a lot of like Victorian cooks of the era were like, my cooking is perfect, especially like, you know, those middle-aged women that think their cooking is better than everybody else's cooking. I don't know, that's what I went with. But the neurotic, grumpy, and over-emotional traits come from the fact that her story is that Camilla lost her husband a few months ago, and she's still bitter about it. They met in this household. She and her husband and, you know, their family had been serving the Clarks for generations. They met in this house. They had their children in this house. And Christian, who is our next sim, is Camilla's only living son. She had 2 others that died of sickness before they reached the age of 10, and 1 daughter with a similar fate. That was very common back then, especially for the poor, to lose most of their children that they give birth to. So it's just a very sad truth, and Camilla happens to be a perfect example of that. She also has 2 daughters that married into the merchant class rather than continue living in servitude. So, yeah, the only living son that she has is Christian, and she has her living daughters, but she barely gets to see them. They're not part of this challenge. You won't see them in her family tree. So, yeah, that's kind of sad, but, you know, it's a sad truth, a sad reality of the time. All right, let's move on to her son. Okay, and this here is Camilla's son, Christian Blair. He is 17, which makes him a teenager. He's the groundskeeper. So basically his job is to garden. You'll see in a moment when I get to the tour of the house that there's basically a border around the entire yard of apple trees. And that's probably not entirely realistic, but in those times they had staffs of gardeners to cut the grass and trim the hedges and water the flowers and take care of any like fruits or vegetables that they did have on the property. So since we can't have Sims mowing the lawn and trimming hedges and, you know, grooming flowers, I figured the best substitution for that would be to have a huge garden. So I made basically a whole oh boy, a whole orchard of apples. So yeah, that makes Christian here the groundskeeper. The only trait required of that is the green thumb trait, obviously. And he's responsible for caring for the garden, and his day consists of gardening and taking care of his own needs when necessary. So yeah, other than loves the outdoors, I gave him excitable, other than green thumb, I mean, I gave him loves the outdoors, which, you know, goes hand in hand with green thumb, I think, and excitable and childish, because he kind of has like a baby face, and he's Camilla's youngest son. I don't know, I'm kind of attached to him. I think he's really a cute sim, and I can already see him, like, coming alive from the game. You know, you ever just, like, have those sims that just, like, you can really see them as real people? That's how I feel about little childish, excitable little Christian over here. I don't know. Yeah, Christian is carrying on the duty that his father left behind. His father used to be head groundskeeper and he was his assistant, but now that his father has passed, it is Christian's duty to fully take on the job of groundskeeper, so he has no help, and he's just got to jump in there. Despite losing his father and many siblings and having a sad, bitter mother, Christian is most definitely a goofball, which I definitely tried to get across with his traits, and I love him, you guys. Okay, moving on. Now, these two here are really the center of this Let's Play. I'm trying to center everything around their story, um, and that would be the Liri twins, Amelia and Esther. Amelia being the blonde and Esther being the redhead. They are twins, and their mother died shortly after giving birth to them, and miraculously, they both survived without any further health complications, because back then, giving birth to more than one child at a time meant that it was very likely for one of the two to die, or for the mother to die, which unfortunately their mother did die. So being that they survived, their father thought of them as his little miracles, and they were very, very poor, but the three of them loved each other very much, so they were rich in that sense. Shortly after the girl's 14th birthday, their father was struck with the incurable tuberculosis and died 3 months after. So the girls were left, they were orphans, they were left with no money and no way to support themselves. So rather than let themselves waste away in an orphanage or in a home for young ladies, they sought employment in servitude, and they found luck with the Clarks, and that is where their story begins. Here is Amelia Liri. She is 14 years old, making her a teenager, and she is going to be the nursemaid. And I know you guys are probably thinking that, like, aren't these girls a little young to be, being nursemaids? But I did my research, and back then, the nursemaids were actually usually around 12 to 14. Can you imagine being 12 years old and caring for somebody else's children and being paid to do so? I can't even imagine that. So I made them 14. And the required trait of the nursemaid is family-oriented. She's responsible for feeding, changing, and playing with babies and toddlers, and taking care of the children. She's also responsible for teaching toddlers all of the skills, meaning walking, talking, potty training, and she has to help the children with homework, and the children have to be homeschooled, so you need NROS career mods, and then the school addition onto that mod. And in addition, nursemaids must improve their logic skill to level 5 before any toddler becomes a child, so that they can tutor them, because the logic skill works, so when you reach level 5, you can tutor other Sims in various skills. So that's what we're going for here, because they also had governesses to do teaching, but being that I don't want to have to control like 20 different Sims, I'm kind of condensing all of the jobs here, so she's going to double as a nursemaid and the governess when the kids get old enough to need a governess. So yeah, and Amelia's day will consist of caring for and teaching children while taking care of her own needs when necessary. Now this is Esther Liri, who is also 14 because they're twins, and her job is the housemaid, and she is required to have the neat trait, and she's responsible for cleaning of all sorts, dishes, puddles, making beds, doing repairs and laundry, and her day consists of doing the above mentioned and taking care of her own needs when necessary. I also gave her the bookworm trait, the good trait, and the good sense of humor trait. And I forgot to mention this when I was with Amelia, but I gave Amelia the shy trait, and I gave Esther the good sense of humor trait. So they're kind of on opposite sides there. Esther is kind of, a boisterous young girl, kind of out there, while Amelia's kind of more awkward. So that'll be fun to see how they interact. But even though they're kind of opposites, they both do love to read, they're both good, and they both love each other very, very much. As you can see right here, the girls are really, really close. And they're all that they have. Like, each other is all that they have, because they lost their mother so young, and they lost their father, and with losing their father, they lost their home and everything they've ever known. So they really only have each other and this household. So yeah, moving on to the master and the mistress of the household. This right here is our newlywed couple, Emily and Henry Clark. And as usual back then, it was an arranged marriage, but they did get to know each other before then, and they do love each other very, very much. and they're very happy to be entering this marriage together, and they're very kind people. There will be no mistreatment of the servants, not in this generation at least. Who knows what might happen in future generations? This is a legacy challenge, but as of right now, they are good people that treat their servants well, and let's get to their traits, shall we? And this is our lady of the house, Emily Clark. She is 20 years old, making her a young adult. She is a virtuoso. She is artistic, as one would be. A young lady back then was trained in music and art, but my headcanon, if you will, for Emily is that she's very gifted in the arts. I want her to be very good at the piano and very good at art, rather than mediocre like most girls of her day. I gave her family-oriented because she really wants children. I gave her good because she's good. She's a very good, she's a good little girl. Love her very much. And I gave her slob, not because I want her to be disgusting, but just to make the job harder for the nursemaid, just to make it a bit more realistic, because they had to do lots of cleaning back then, and I think slob would make them make a big enough mess so that it would be realistic. Okay, moving on to her husband. Here he is, Master Henry Clark. He is 25 years old, again making him a young adult. He is in the business career, as a lot of the upper middle class Victorians were at the time. And I also gave him slob, just, for the mess aspect, not because I want him to be disgusting. I gave him charismatic and genius, as I think you would need to be if you were in the business of business. The business of business. Okay, good. And I gave him perfectionist because I think he would need that as well, and it just puts all the more pressure on the staff to make everything perfect in the house. And I gave him friendly because, again, they're good people, they treat their servants fairly, and I really wanted to get that point across. And I love that pose I have him in. I mean, look at that smirk, that smolder, so handsome. Okay, let's get back to gameplay, shall we? This is the house that we will be playing in. I did not build the house in the exterior sense. I just decorated the inside. I downloaded the house itself from the exchange, but I myself decorated the inside painstakingly, so let's get on to the inside. This here is the entrance hall, and you'll see that there are a lot of portraits hanging throughout this home. I wanted to give it the historical sense, of course. To the left of the entrance hall is a big dining room, and then there's an entrance from the dining room to a little sunroom, and then we have the main parlor, which is also off the sunroom, and to the right of the main hall is another angle, and through those little archways over there is the music room, another fireplace, some books, and there's the piano that Emily will be using quite a lot. This is the servants' quarters, which is off the dining room, which is near the kitchen. That's the main area. This is the sleeping area for the servants. Every servant will be sleeping there except the nursemaid. This is the kitchen, which is also off of the servants' area. And this is the first bedroom. It's a very, very girly pink bedroom, and I think it's really cute. I'm super happy with how it looks. That is a bathroom shared with another bedroom, which you're going to see right now. This is kind of the yellow room. It's a little girly, but I can also see putting a boy in here. Again, I think it's really cute, really happy with how it came out. This is the master bedroom, very red, very dark, rich colors in this room. Also happy with how this turned out. That is the blue room, definitely for a boy, or perhaps a girl. Who knows what kind of children we're going to have. This over here is the nursery. The nursery is honestly the room that I'm most proud of. I spent a lot of time looking at custom toys and resizing and using the one more space package thing. Yeah, I love how the shelf looks. I love how all the pillows look, all the decorations, all the toys. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Yeah, and this is the nursery wing bathroom, so a bathtub and a changing table, and this is where the kids are going to eat with the nanny, and there's some high chairs and a table for the kids and the nanny, and that is the laundry room, which is also on the same floor as the nursery, and there is the nanny's room, which would be Amelia. Okay guys, and that is all I have today for this episode. I did not have any time to get into some actual gameplay for this challenge, because normally what I do is I play for several hours and I break it up into the half-hour segments that you guys see, and I haven't had time to play lately. All I had time to do was make this kind of slideshow of me rambling, and I really hope it was okay with you guys. But with this challenge, I think it's really important to get really into the characters and, you know, the space that they're living in, because it is historical based. And I really hope I did the period justice. I really hope you guys like the decorating I did with the house. I spent like days and like weeks on decorating that house and finding just the right custom content for it and arranging everything perfectly, and I really hope it shows, and I really hope you guys like it. If you want me to put it up for download somewhere, I can. Just be aware that there's a lot of custom content in it. But I will put the download link to the original house, which is on the exchange, the undecorated house, because of course it wouldn't exist if that wasn't here, and I'm eternally grateful to the person that made it, because it's a great house without my decorating. But yeah, please let me know what you guys think of the characters and their stories and of the house, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will definitely get an actual gameplay episode up by tomorrow, and I hope you guys have a great day. This is Simmer Rose.